Do humidity domes really increase germination rates? Well, welcome back to the Mind and Soil Test Garden, and this is something that I've wondered about, been skeptical about for a number of years. So in today's video, we're gonna start two sets of seeds with humidity domes and without to see how big of a difference and impact it makes. So to begin diving in, let's set up our two environments. The first thing I'm going to do is fill two identical seed trays with my Mind and Soil version 4.0 seedling mix. And for this first part of the germination test, we're going with 1-inch seed cells, but I'm going to add a wrinkle to this in just a couple minutes. Next, I'm going to place my seeds into each of these seed cells. And for this experiment, we're going to test lettuce, basil, tomatoes, and broccoli. I'm going to place not just one, but 3 seeds in each seed cell in order to have a slightly higher sample size. So the first environment is all set. I'm going to slide it over, and for the second environment, I'm going to do everything the exact same, except I'm going to end up covering it with a humidity dome. See, for our seeds to germinate, they need to be in a warm and moist environment. And this humidity dome blocks airflow and traps moisture in, which increases humidity and slows down how quickly the seedling mix dries up. So the hypothesis is that by using this humidity dome, keeping the seedling mix moist for a longer period of time, we'll end up having higher germination rates. Now I want to add one additional wrinkle in, and that's because I don't usually use 1-inch seed cells. My preferred size is a 3-inch seed cell. And there's 2 reasons why I prefer starting my seeds in 3-inch seed cells. First, returning to that notion that our seeds need moisture to germinate, given that these seed cells are significantly larger, they retain a lot more moisture, and that gives me a longer runway or bigger buffer between when I need to be watering them. They've got moisture for a longer period of time. And secondly, when you start in the 1-inch seed cells, after 14 to 21 days, you're gonna need to pot those up into a 3-inch seed cell regardless. So by starting in 3-inch seed cells, this saves me all of the time and money on those materials. Now, last thing I need to do is place my humidity dome over top of these, place them underneath the grow lights in my seed starting station where it's about 75 Fahrenheit or 22 Celsius. And I'm also gonna put a couple of sensors in there that track humidity. Now, just before we fast forward 7 days for the first results on germination, my prediction is that the humidity dome won't have any impact on germination rates. As you saw with me putting it over top of the 3-inch seed cells, I clearly have not used it on those ones before, so I'm very skeptical if it'll have any impact whatsoever on germination rates. But to find out if I'm wrong, let's fast forward 7 days for our first check-in. So it's actually only 5 days since we started this experiment, but we're already seeing tons of germination. So I want to do a quick check-in today to see if there's a difference in how quickly the seeds are germinating from one environment to the next. And then we're gonna pop them back underneath the grow lights for another 7 days before the final check-in. Now, just before we start adding up the germination rates, recall that I put my EcoWit humidity sensor in the seed starting area. And this has allowed me to track the humidity in each environment. So to quickly touch on that, environment number 1 that did not have the humidity dome had an average humidity of 43.4%, and it never went above 50%. Now for environment number 2, underneath the humidity dome, the average humidity was 65.2%. So just over 20% higher underneath the humidity dome. Now what impact did that have on germination? Well, let's first go through our 1-inch plugs in environment number 1. And as you can see, we have germination in all of the seed cells already. So to quickly add them up, for the lettuce, we had 14 of the potential 15 seeds successfully germinate already within 5 days. That's pretty dang good. Moving on to the basil, 10 of the 15 seeds have successfully germinated. Now moving on to the tomatoes, 10 of the 15 have already successfully germinated. And lastly, for the broccoli, 12 of the 15 have successfully germinated. So for only 5 days in, that's pretty strong germination that we're seeing without any humidity dome. But there certainly is some room to get closer to 100% germination rate. So let's now take a look underneath the humidity dome to see how many of them have germinated. And as we can see here, really nice germination as well. However, at first glance, before I add them up, it does look a little bit lower to me. So let's now start adding them up. Starting with the lettuce, 13 of the 15 seeds have successfully germinated. Now moving on to the basil, 8 of the 15 have germinated. So surprisingly, both of those have actually been a little bit lower than the environment that did not have the humidity dome on it. Moving on to the tomatoes, 12 of the 15 have germinated. And lastly, for the broccoli, surprisingly, only 2 of the seeds have germinated. Now that doesn't quite make sense. It should not be that low. It should be a lot higher. So might need to do some further testing and investigating on that front. But let's now take a look at the 3-inch seed cells, and recall that I prefer starting all of my seeds in 3-inch seed cells because I've thought that I get higher germination rates in those environments. Let's see if that's actually the case though. Starting with the 3-inch seed cells without the humidity dome. Starting with the lettuce, 13 of the 15 have germinated. Now moving on to the basil, only 6 of these ones have germinated so far. So definitely lower than what I was seeing in both of the 1-inch environments, which is a good little learning for me. This is why I love experimenting, always learning, improving as a gardener. Moving on to the tomatoes, 6 of the 15 have germinated. Now moving on to the last one, which is the broccoli, and we have 10 of the 15 successfully germinated here on day 5. So when I compare just the 1-inch seed cells versus the 3-inch seed cells without any humidity dome, those that were actually in the 1-inch seed cells have performed better than those in the 3-inch seed cells. Now to wrap up today's update before we get them back underneath the grow lights for our final check-in, let's now look at the 3-inch seed cells underneath the humidity dome. And as we can see here, the germination is looking really good on these ones. This might be actually the highest environment yet. So let's go through each vegetable one by one. Starting with the lettuce, 14 of the 15 seeds have successfully germinated. Moving on to the basil, 10 of the 15 have germinated. Onto our third seed, which were tomatoes, 12 of the 15 seeds already germinated and growing. And that one also ties the highest germination that we've seen for our tomatoes in any of the environments. On to the final crop, the broccoli, where 10 of the 15 seeds have already germinated. And as a matter of fact, I just added up all the seeds in environment 1, both in the 1-inch seed cells and in the 3-inch seed cells, and it came out to 81 seeds successfully germinated so far. And then I added up all the seeds that germinated in the humidity dome, both the 1-inch seed cells and the 3-inch seed cells, and it came out to exactly 81 as well. So they've literally been 100% identical. But let's see if that changes at all over the course of the next 7 days here. So to begin wrapping up this video, let's fast forward 7 more days for our final check-in. So it's now 12 days since we started all of these seeds, and take a look at this. Those seeds underneath the humidity dome are now starting to hit the top of it. So we need to pull it off, allow them to just begin to grow. And for today, we're simply gonna wrap up this experiment by adding up the final germination rates to see if there's any significant difference. So to begin diving in, let's start with environment number 1, the 1-inch seed cells without the humidity dome. And as you can see, really nice germination across the board in this environment. To go through them now one by one, for the lettuce, 14 of the 15 germinated. For the basil, 13 of the 15 germinated. For the tomatoes, 12 germinated. And for the broccoli, all 15 germinated. So that's nearly a 100% germination rate without even utilizing the humidity dome. But now let's take a look at how they did with the humidity dome over top of them. And just like the previous environment, really nice germination across the board. Now to go through them one by one, for the lettuce seedlings, 13 germinated. 10 of the 15 basil seedlings germinated. All 15 tomato seeds germinated. And only 4 of the broccoli seeds germinated, which again, that might be user error on my behalf. And this means that the environment without the humidity dome had 54 seeds successfully germinate, while the environment with the humidity dome only had 50 seeds germinate. So it was actually a little bit lower than without the humidity dome. Now let's take a look at the 3-inch seed cells to see how those ones did. And same as all the environments so far, we're seeing really good germination across the board here. For the lettuce seeds, 13 germinated, 12 of the basil seeds germinated, all 15 tomato seeds germinated once again, and 12 of the 15 broccoli seeds successfully germinated. So nearly identical to the 1-inch seed cells in that environment without the humidity dome. Now looking at the ones underneath the humidity dome to wrap up here, we can see really nice germination once again. For the lettuce seeds, 14 of the 15 successfully germinated. For the basil, 13 of the 15 successfully germinated. For the tomatoes, 14 of the seeds germinated. And for the broccoli, 12 of the 15 seeds germinated. And so what this means is for the environment without the humidity dome, a total of 106 seeds successfully germinated. And for the environment with the humidity dome, 95 seeds germinated. So neck and neck, but certainly no significant difference for utilizing the humidity humidity dome. So for myself, I'm not going to start utilizing humidity domes. I'm just gonna make sure that my seeds and seedling mix stays nice and moist during the germination process, and I know I'll continue to get results just like this. If you enjoyed this gardening experiment and you want more gardening experiments in your life, then subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified when my next gardening experiment launches. And in the meantime, feel free to check out this recent garden experiment that I ran right here. Other than that, that's all for today, and I'll catch you on the next experiment.